Hi, thanks for joining me today. My name is Scott Gang and I am the SVP of Engineering at Egenera. And today I'm going to demonstrate some of the unique value points that Egenera's PAN Manager can bring to your data center infrastructure management environment. For those who don't know us, Egenera has been around for over 12 years, and our product, PAN Manager, has been managing server environments for some of the most demanding enterprise customers in the world. So it's a very mature technology, and it is a proven technology in the market. It's also the only truly open data center infrastructure management software on the market today that works across all the major server vendors' blade platforms. It was purpose-built to simplify the deployment of physical servers, to provide easy access to N+1 hardware failover for all your servers and their applications, and it offers an elegant and powerful DR model that will change the way that you think about business continuity. The product is simple to use. It allows you to create an incredibly agile infrastructure management environment, whether you're building a private cloud or providing managed services. One of the most unique aspects of PAN Manager is that it provides the features that I talked about: simplified hardware provisioning, N+1 HA and DR, in a heterogeneous environment. And basically, PAN Manager provides an abstraction layer that unifies the operational aspects of server deployment across any hardware platform. Every platform, whether it be HP, IBM, Dell, NEC, Fujitsu, they all have their own way to perform out-of-band management, for example, powering on and off servers. They have their own way of doing discovery of components, providing virtual CD capabilities to their servers, providing serial and graphical consoles. Even network and storage connectivity is unique among the vendors, and even down to defining the actual NICs and HBAs that a server uses. Those are all very different between the platforms. And what we've done in PAN Manager is we've integrated into each vendor's hardware and software stack so that customers don't have to think about the complexity and the differences between each platform. Instead, they have a single pane of glass that provides a platform-independent approach to management. For example, if you were an HP blade shop and you bought a company that was using IBM blades, you could easily consolidate your data centers and bring the IBM hardware into the same management domain using PAN Manager that you are using with your HP blades. And you can even mix and match the blades. For example, you could use the IBM blades that you just from your acquired company as failover resources for running a server or an application that's running on an HP blade. Basically, you would be allowed to fail over between an HP blade and an IBM blade. So it makes for a very flexible environment. Okay, so that's the intro. So let's get started on the demonstration. And I want to show you three things today. Okay, how to create and deploy a server in PAN Manager, how to provide hardware high availability for any server, and how you can turn your existing paper runbooks into a digital runbook that can automate your DR operations. So let's turn our attention to the screen here. I'll give you a quick anatomy of the UI. So PAN Manager has a couple of different interfaces. It has a web-based UI, which we're looking at on the screen. It also has a command line capability to allow administrators to do scripting. And it also has a web services API to allow more programmatic integration into the product. Many of our partners leverage that API in order to integrate into their product sets. Okay, so on the UI here, on the left side where my cursor is now, you can see the objects that PAN Manager is managing. And on the right side here, where my cursor just moved to, is sort of the main screen. So depending on the object you picked in the tree on the left, we would show you the configuration and status information associated with that object. And as you can see above here, we also have another set of tabs which gives you additional information on any of those objects. Events that may be associated with that object, the health of that object, any monitors that might be there, and any long-running tasks that may be in progress for that object. So one of the important aspects of PAN Manager, as I mentioned before, is that we've integrated in with the hardware platforms, and one of the nice features of that is we get to participate in the automatic discovery of physical resources. So I'm going to click on the set of resources that this instance of PAN Manager is managing, and so you can see we are managing an HP environment here with 2 different chassis. You can see blades 1 through 16 in chassis 1, and then you can see HP Virtual Connect chassis 2, also blades 1 through 16 are there. So this screen gives you a list of all of the processing resources that are available to create your servers and run your applications. Now, one of the interesting parts of the PAN architecture is that the processing resources that we discover here are basically treated as anonymous resources. We leverage the compute power, in other words, the CPU and the memory on those blades to be able to have the flexibility to be able to run any application in any operating system on any blade at any time. And the idea behind that is that we don't keep any state on these blades at all. So their root file systems are out in the storage network. Their application data is out in the storage network. And so it gives you this great flexibility, which we'll see in some of the features that we'll show you later. So anyway, so these are the blades that are available to us. We have a concept of being able to group these blades into pools so that you can share resources across multiple different servers that are running. For example, you might have multiple servers that are all drawing from the same pool to grab the blades that they want to use to do failover or even to boot. Okay, so not only do we discover all the physical resources, but we do have some logical concepts in PAN Manager as well. And one of them here is virtual switching. And the idea behind this is to be able to offer, when you're building your servers out through PAN Manager, you want to be able to connect those servers into the fiber channel and into the IP networks that you want them to have connections to. And with PAN Manager, you can create IP-based virtual switches, and you can create fiber channel switches that allow you to control the connectivity that that server has, not only within the PAN environment, but out to the data center environment. PAN Manager also has an ability to centrally manage media images for your environment, so that you can register your OS images and your application images. Any ISO image that you have, you can register with PAN Manager, and through software you'll be able to associate those images with any server that you want and basically offer a virtual CD capability. The next few below that are really in the list management range, so you can allocate worldwide names and MAC addresses and use those to help define your environment as you're building your servers out. So that's really the key resources that I wanted to cover. If I scroll down a little bit on the left side here, we can see that there's a term that we use called LPANs, and basically this stands for a Logical Processing Area Network. And really think about this as a multi-tenancy capability. It allows multiple organizations, or if you're a managed hosting environment, it allows you to have multiple customers running on a shared set of resources. Now the beauty of that is that it's all secure and isolated, so that you create one of these partitions for one of your tenants, and when that tenant logs in, their view of the world is only one of these partitions. So you can see in this example we have 4 different partitions created, an application development one, a products one, a QA one, and a test one. So I'm going to drill into the application development one just for a second here, and this is where we'll really do our demo. So you can see that this partition, or LPAN, has been given a set of resources from the higher level administrator. They have access to 7 processing nodes here. They have access to a pool of processing resources. They have a set of virtual switches that they have access to, a bunch of media images, and a set of worldwide names and MAC addresses. Now over on the left here, there are 2 servers that are defined here. Okay, we have a couple of different servers that are actually booted and up and running here. But the first part of the demo that I wanted to cover really was creating and deploying a server in this environment. So let's go and do that. Up here to do that, you hit the Create button on PAN Manager, and you pick a name for your server. And let's say we're building out a WebLogic server in our development environment here. And then what pops up here is a screen. This is really creating the server definition in PAN Manager. We call it a P server definition for PAN server, but really it amounts to a small set of items that you need to configure in order to get your server up and running. So one of the key concepts in PAN Manager really is about the deployment model. It's all a software-based model, so you're building your servers, connecting your servers to the resources that they need, all through software. Right? So the idea is you wheel the hardware in, you connect it to the infrastructure, and everything you do after that is a software operation. And clearly the value of that is speed. The time to deployment, whether you're deploying an ESX host or you're deploying your Exchange server, you can do that all through a software interface. And as we get through some more of the demo, you'll start to see some of the value of that architecture. So in this demo, what we're going to do is we're going to assign a primary processing resource to this. So we'll pick an open processing resource right now, one that's not allocated. And this Blade 5 you can see on the right has no assignment. So we'll select that one. If we wanted to give this server the ability to automatically recover from hardware failures, then in PAN Manager all you need to do is go to this failover blade category and tell PAN Manager what the policy is if there's a hardware failure. So in this case we can pick a particular blade, or we can come over here and pick a pool, which we were allocated one pool if you remember back in the initial screen on the configuration. So we'll select this pool to pick from, and you can see on this screen there are 6 available resources in here. That means there's 6 blades to be used by anybody to run their servers. In this case, we're using this pool as a failover resource. If you remembered also, our partition had access to some ISO images, and if you want an ISO image to be available to the server when it boots, or if it's up, you can do it live, then all you do is click here and you pick from the set of ISO images that you were allocated. So a Red Hat 6 image, for example, if you were doing an install of Red Hat 6, you would click on that, and sure enough, you would have access to the install image. So the next thing is networking. So of course your server needs access to networks, and you can see here down in this box we have created a network already. We use the terms VNIC for virtual NIC and RVNIC for redundant virtual NIC. And with PAN Manager we give you a choice of being able to create a redundant network automatically or to create a network that doesn't have redundancy. The network that we create automatically here is a management network and basically used for PAN Manager to communicate with that server. We have a set of software, we call it PAN tools, that can optionally run on the server that would communicate over this network to provide an additional set of services to the administrator. If you wanted to create another network in PAN Manager, literally all you need to do is click this Add button, and you can decide whether you want a redundant NIC or just a standalone NIC. In this case, we'll pick a redundant NIC, and you can see the box that popped up here. PAN Manager will automatically create the virtual NICs underneath the covers for this redundant NIC. It'll automatically create the MAC addresses, and if you want to connect this NIC to the network that you want to give it access to, it's a complete software operation. So there's a switch here that's defined. It's an internet. Its name is Internet, and it gives you access to the external internet. So we'll click that button, and now this server will have access to the external internet when it boots up. So we'll submit that. So now we have 2 redundant networks defined, and now we'll move over and give this server its storage. Okay, so we'll give it access to the LUNs that it needs out in the storage network. So here we'll create a fiber channel virtual HBA through PAN Manager. Again, a nice simple operation. We'll let PAN Manager allocate the worldwide names, and the boot target's already been set here. We'll make this a bootable one as it's set automatically. And now we'll connect it to the SAN that we want. So we'll pick this fiber channel virtual switch 1 to connect to, and we'll submit this request here. So now we've allocated a processing resource, we've given networks, and we've given storage access, and we've plugged in a piece of media. Now what we're going to go do is boot this server. So we'll click the boot button, we'll submit that. So kind of all the magic of PAN Manager happens here, and really the key is what PAN Manager does at this point is before we hit that boot button, the server definition was just a definition. It told the user that, hey, if I boot this server, use Blade 5, and then when I do, I really want Blade 5 to have access to these networks and to these and to this storage. And so we clicked that boot button, and PAN Manager did the work of actually allocating that blade now. Now no other server could use it because this server has used it. And it's orchestrated the infrastructure to set this blade to have the NICs that are defined here, right? So through software, we're creating these virtual NICs, leveraging actually the hardware components. In HP, we're leveraging Virtual Connect capabilities to do that. In IBM, it would be an Open Fabric Manager, for example. But anyway, we create the NICs with these MAC addresses that are defined here, and we create the HBAs with the worldwide names and the boot targets that are defined. And then the server boots up, and the operating system is installed and runs, and it sees these devices. So you can see that the health is green. We're booted. We have a health heartbeat. That's a healthy heartbeat. So that means that our tools and are talking over this management network and sending healthy heartbeat information over. So now we have a nice healthy server. It's up and running. All is well here. And the next demo I wanted to cover is the hardware failover capability. So what we're going to do is demonstrate how PAN Manager automatically manages in a lights-out manner the failure of a piece of hardware in some way and how it automatically recovers from that capability. And so what we'll do here is we have a software mechanism for presenting a hardware failure. And so what we'll do, and the way we'll do that is by actually ejecting the blade. So we're running on chassis 1 blade 5. So I'm going to go over to our resource list, and we have a little button up here for ejecting the blade. So I'm going to pick blade 5, and I'm going to go eject that blade. And this is, imagine this is kind of equivalent to, somebody in a data center going in and, there's rows and rows of chassis, and, they incorrectly remove the wrong blade, and, you really want your software to be able to manage any hardware failure, including, the removal of a piece of hardware, and have your services, automatically get restarted. So let's go back to the server definition for WebLogic that we had here. And you can see in PAN Manager, the primary processing resource that we had is blade 5. And blade 5, you can see, is red here, and it means that it's been ejected from the system and it can no longer see it. What we've done is we've gone to this pool as a failover process, and we've automatically allocated blade 2 in chassis 1 to be the replacement for this server. We've taken that blade out of the pool. You can see there's only 5 available, and effectively we have initiated the same process that we did originally when we were booting blade 5. Is now we go orchestrating the infrastructure to give this blade 2, this set of networks with these MAC addresses, connectivity to the same networks externally as well as internally, and likewise on the storage side, we're giving this blade the HBA that has these worldwide names and boot targets, right, and access to the same fiber channel network externally that blade 5 had. So literally when this operating system and applications boot up, their view of the world is it's the same server, right? Everything about it is exactly the same. So you don't need to replicate your licenses. It all just moves along very nicely and elegantly. So it's really a big step forward in how you can offer HA to your servers and applications. It really is as simple as it gets, really a one-click model. So a very powerful mechanism there for managing HA and doing it very simply. Okay, so that was the second thing. The third thing I wanted to show is around disaster recovery, and this is really an extremely powerful part of our product. So I'm going to click over on the disaster recovery capability here, and I'll show you. Let's see. I'll go over to. So basically, think about the concept of having a stateless architecture and having these server definitions and the policies, the media images, all those things are really software entities, and you can capture all of that information in an XML file. And I mentioned the term digital runbook before, but that's basically what it is. You can take this entire environment, snapshot it, create a digital runbook so that you can reconstitute this environment really on any other set of resources that you want. So we're running a development environment here, but I had a different environment of what was a production environment on a different set of resources. I captured that and I moved that big XML file over to this system. And now you can see in this file, I won't go through all the details of this because it's got a lot of content, but you can imagine all the detailed information that is a part of this archive. It's lots of stuff. Typically things that you may actually be writing down in a notebook, right, to manage your disaster recovery services. But all the ISO images that you have, all of the resources that you use, the pools that you had created, the mapping of virtual switches and uplinks, all the partitions that were created down here, their servers that were created, the status of those servers, their MAC addresses, worldwide names, all those details, lots and lots of details. Now the beauty of this is we're running on a couple of HP chassis. This particular instance may have been running on a completely different set of hardware. I mean, it could be 3 chassis or 4 chassis, but here we are on this one and trying to reconstitute this production environment on this development environment that we have. So literally, all we need to do this is we click our validate button, and we're going to make sure that the image is capable of running here. So we like it to be verifiable. And this has just a note that one of the uplink ports is not in use, which is not an issue for us. So what we're going to do then is literally all we need to do is click the swap button, and PAN Manager will effectively change out its resources from the current set of definitions that it's using to the one that's defined in this file. So I'm going to go ahead and click that now, and I'll submit that in. And basically what PAN Manager is going to do here, you're going to see PAN Manager log us out in a minute, and what it's doing is actually shutting down and replacing the XML files that we have just left with the one XML file that we were just looking at. So this process takes roughly about 8 minutes for PAN Manager to change over a personality of an entire set of resources, and then it has to go through the effort of booting everything back up. But we'll see in a little while that we will see this new personality, if you will, of these hardware resources get constituted from this XML file, and a new set of partitions will be created, and a new set of servers will be booting with their own worldwide names and MAC addresses and connectivity. So this is a really powerful DR model, and our customers really love this model because it gives them a verifiable way to do disaster recovery, something that they sorely lacked before. So now we'll wait for the PAN Manager to come back up, and we'll start to see the servers the new servers begin to boot. Okay, so as you can see, PAN Manager has restarted now, and if I scroll over to the left side, you'll see the actual partitions of this machine look completely different than they did previously. So there are 4 new partitions on this machine. You can see a more production-oriented set of environments here with a web server, a database, a VDI environment, and a mid-tier environment with WebLogic. And what PAN Manager has done basically is mapped the entire XML file that we had picked to switch to, and basically map that to all of the resources that are on this existing hardware that we're on the 2 HP chassis that we're loaded on. And now what PAN Manager is doing is trying to reestablish the state of the servers as to when you took the archive. So if PAN Manager will remember what servers were booted, what servers were not booted, and it'll try and get the the environment into the same state that it was when the archive was taken. So in this case, you can start to see that the Apache servers that we had booted before are actually up and running already. Here they are. Some of the Oracle RAC instances are now up and running, and some of our VDI instances up and running, and some of our WebLogic stuff. So really, almost the whole environment is back up and running again, and you can see hopefully the value in the DR model here is by creating a digital runbook. It becomes really simple to get an entire environment DR'd over to another environment, and many of our customers leverage this capability even to do an N+1 model where multiple primary sites can use the DR site, and with the hope that no more than one primary site is ever going to go down at one time. The other thing is the DR resources, as we were doing in this case, can be nicely utilized to, they don't have to sit idle. They can be running development or QA jobs, and at a moment's notice when the application, when the primary site's applications go down and you want to make the switch over, you can do that within the matter of minutes, gracefully shutting down the old stuff and bringing in the new. So that concludes the set of demos. I hope you got some value out of understanding what PAN Manager can do for you in your data center environment, and hopefully you'll check out PAN Manager. Thanks very much.